welcome back. Today we're going to be doing the mid-year freakout tag. I've seen quite a few people do this and thought I would join in too, just because I can't believe the year is half over already, so I am kind of freaking out just from that aspect alone. We are outside again today. It was just too nice out not to. It's been raining the past few weeks and the clouds finally cleared up today and it's super sunny, so I felt like being outside again. I hope you don't mind too much. I know the lighting can be a bit much, especially now it's later in the afternoon, the sun's starting to set, and so it's kind of bearing down right on the balcony, right into my eyes, which it wasn't like 2 minutes ago, but you know, I just thought it'd be nice to chill out here. It's quite nice. So, on to the tag. The first question is the best book you read in 2024 so far. And I would have to say that is a big toss-up between Three Kinds of Lucky and Sona and the Golden Beasts. And I really can't decide between the two, but I think I'm going to pick probably three. I don't know. It's a hard choice. I think probably Three Kinds of Lucky, mainly because there's another question that I think I'm gonna do for Sona. But Three Kinds of Lucky, I'll edit it over here, is basically about I want to say wizard, but that's not accurate. I really liked. This is why I like this book, and I have to say it's my favorite, is because the magic system in this book is very, very unique. There's basically three different types, I guess you could say. There's like mages, there's weavers, and then there's spinners. So the mages are the ones who do like basic magic, and then the spinners kind of I don't know, like, you would have to read it. They kind of like, they not like clean up the magic. Those would be the sweepers. So basically in this world, the magic leaves like a residue from the mages, and they have sweepers that have to clear them up. And then spinners have like a special type of magic that's kind of like the mages, and it helps the sweepers. And then there's this special type called weavers, which are kind of like a forbidden thing. They're seen as evil, and that's kind of what this book is about, is bringing back the weavers. This basically this world views magic in a very scientific way, and I really like that. Like, there's kind of a scientific explanation for everything that happens in this magic world. So like the magic users, they kind of make like this magic waste, and they have like the spinners and the weavers, or not the weavers, but the sweepers clean it up for them. But that waste also draws what they call the shadow, and they're kind of like the people see them as being like inanimate, like evil kind of shadow creatures, but these shadow creatures are actually intelligent living things, and these weavers could use and manipulate those shadows. And so the mages kind of felt threatened by that and were killing them off over time. And so the main character finds out that she's a weaver, and there's like this kind of conspiracy behind it, how she finds it out, and basically bringing back the weavers by the end of the book. And I really hope this becomes a series, because it is so good. It's left open-ended, so I really hope she makes another one, because I really love the characters in this series, and I really liked the magic concept. It's been a long time since I've read a book and was like, wow, that's actually a really unique and interesting concept. So I really enjoyed this one, and I highly recommend it, especially for those who like fantasy. And this does take place in a modern world too, since it's very scientific. I feel like I could have described that better, but like, I don't really want to go into too much detail about it, because I feel like it would spoil the book, because there's a lot of character and world building that I feel like you need to read, because if I tell it to you, I feel like it kind of spoils part of it. And the second question is the best sequel you've read so far in 2024. I haven't really read any series. I've kind of been avoiding them, mostly because I haven't really liked any of the series I've read recently. I do have a couple of series on my shelves, but I haven't really read the sequels to them yet. Number 3, new release you haven't read yet but want to, and that would be The Familiar. I actually have this. I did buy it quite a while ago. It's been sitting on my desk, and I will get to it eventually. I actually pulled it out because I do want to read it. I really do, but I just haven't been like in the mood for it. Like, I keep going to pick it up, but then I grab something else instead. So I did pull it out of the stack, and I have it sitting out, and I hope to start it soon because I do really want to read it. I know like a lot of people have been buying it and putting it in their hauls and TBRs, but I haven't actually seen anyone like review or talk about it. So I've been kind of hesitant to read it because I'm like, oh, what if it's not really that good? And that's like why no one's been talking about it. And like, I know that's kind of a poor mindset to have, but like, I've read so many not great books this year, and I'm kind of tired of wasting my time with books I haven't really enjoyed, and there's like been a bunch I haven't finished, and so I'm just kind of very hesitant on picking it up or not. But that is one I do want to try to start reading soon. Number 4, the most anticipated release for the second half of 2024. I don't really have one. I haven't really been looking at new books at all. I've just been trying to powerhouse through the books I already have, and I've been turning into like a nostalgia reader and just kind of reading the books I've already read, or like ones from my childhood or when I was in high school that were like popular but never did get around to reading. And that's mostly because like a lot of the newer books just I haven't really been interested in, so I've been kind of going back to the older books. There is one new release I'm waiting for, but it comes out next month, or technically later this month. It's like almost the 1st of July now, but that is I don't remember the name of it exactly. It's like it's about Bill Cipher. If you watch Gravity Falls, Alex Hirsch basically put out a book about like a more adult like stories about Bill Cipher that's supposed to be darker, and so I'm really excited for that one, and I can't wait for that to come out. So I think that's the only one I'm really anticipating, but like anything that's coming out later in the year, not really. Most of it's just been romanticises as far as I can see, and I kind of burned myself out on romanticises, and I'm just not really interested in reading a lot of them, so we'll see. I might change my mind about that. Sun shifting position again, I'm sorry. But yeah, number 5, the biggest disappointment of 2024 so far, and I would have to say that would be Nothing. And that's because a lot of people said good things about this in the reviews, and a lot of people praised it, and it was like an award-winning book, but I just didn't like it. It was supposed to be like a philosophical, make you think kind of book, but I didn't see like really the philosophy in it at all. It didn't really make a clear point. It wasn't written very well. And at the end, there's like no remorse for what they did from any of the characters. I didn't really get it. Like at the end of reading it, I'm like, I don't understand. It really reminded me of like Lord of the Flies, but with Lord of the Flies, it actually has like a description and a build up to the events, so you know why the events happened. and you understand by the end of reading the book what the commentary was, what this book was trying to express. But with Nobody, it just didn't do that, because there's no description to anything. It was very minimalistic writing style, and I feel like the book really suffered for that. And I feel like the writing style was kind of more like, I think it was trying to be like a person trying to tell the story, because it had like a narrator kind of perspective from one of the characters, so it kind of felt like you're just sitting there with someone telling you this story rather than getting details for it. And I feel like that wasn't really the right move with the kind of content they're trying to go for. So with Nobody, or not Nobody, but Nothing, it was supposed to be about like social decay and like the obsession with something, and it was about these kids who are trying to find the meaning in things, because there's this other kid who thinks life isn't worth living or anything like that, and they're like, we're gonna prove you wrong, we're gonna find the meaning in things. And so they set out to find like this list of stuff and pile of things that have meaning, but it just went through the story so quickly with no details or description that you didn't understand why any of this had meaning, especially for one character. They had to go and dig up this thing, which I'm not going to say. If you want to read the book, I don't want to spoil it, even though I already spoiled it in my monthly wrap-up. But I just feel like it didn't make sense, because she said she didn't care about this thing. She didn't care at all. And it's like, if you don't care about it at all, then how does that have meaning to you? And it became where it's like none of these things really had meaning. They never described why it had meaning or why it was going in the pile. And I think that's why this story, to me personally, suffered, because you didn't really understand why any of this meant anything to anyone. And so, and then like these kids are like little sociopaths. They did some really fucked up things, and then they didn't even care at the end. Like, if you're going to say and show this philosophical idea of obsession, then that needs to be talked about at the end. You would think the characters would be like, oh my god, we did all these horrible things, we let this thing get the best of us, and it just never does. And there's no consequences for these kids either. And I just didn't like that. Like, one of the kids dies and they're just like, they like literally didn't even care. One of the characters was just going off about how beautiful the flowers on the grave were, and not the body that's being put in the ground. And I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'm dense, maybe I'm stupid, but I don't want to say I didn't get it. I know what the author was going for. I just didn't think they did it in the right way. And I feel like this was only award-winning because it was kind of darker, more blunt topics for the age group that this book was aimed towards. And I feel like that's the only reason like why people were praising it. And then I had to stop and I was like, well, I'm reading this from like an adult perspective. But then I thought about it more, and I'm like, would 7th grade me have liked this book anymore? And I don't think I would have. I still think I would have thought it was stupid at that young of an age, you know? I don't know. I just didn't like it, didn't get it. And number 6, this is the biggest surprise of 2024, and this is Sona and the Golden Beast. I love the fuck out of this book. I was completely surprised by this one, because this was just a random audiobook I had found on Libby to listen to at work, but it was so good. Like, I just picked it out because I was like, oh yeah, that looks like something interesting to read. But this is definitely not your average YA novel. And I'm actually not sure if this is supposed to be middle grade or YA. It's kind of a mixture of both, but like it has some heavy topics in it for the age range. and I thought it handled it in a really good and well-written way. This is inspired by the Middle East and Southern Asian cultures and continents. It is in like a mystical world, but you will notice a lot of themes from those cultures. I do believe the author is Indian, so I think it has more of a heavily South Asian inspiration to it, but I really like this. It's basically about this young girl who lives with these, I don't know how to word it without spoiling it, but basically in the first chapter she finds out some family stuff, and she lives in this kingdom where the two peoples are divided. There's Davins and Molochs, and they go by their ears, have different colors. The Devons have golden, and the Molochs have like a darker black kind of color. And basically the Devons are this very light-hearted people. They like song, dance, and music, and they have a kind of magic through their singing. And they have a Moloch king who's taken over the country and kind of denounced these people to be a lower class. And there's a lot of segregation and kind of topics like that in this book. A lot of not mentionings, but it deals a lot with like prejudices and racism, and it's just really interesting. And they have these sacred beasts which help bring magic to the land. They're very widely held by the Devons, and they have these sacred jewels, and the emperor, of course, or their ruler, king, wants these jewels for himself. He basically wants to take the magic from the land, and a lot of it is the Devons kind of rising up against this ruler, trying to take back what was theirs. And it's just so good. And the way she interacts with these magical creatures, the way she learns so much emotionally, and it's just so good, like so good. I don't want to talk about it too much or go into too much detail because it really will spoil the story, but there's just so many heavy topics in this book that's just dealt with so well and so well done. I would say though, if you are very uncomfortable with things happening to animals, this might be a little bit hard for you to read. It's not very detailed, but it is something to be wary about. But I do highly recommend it. It is definitely by far one of the best books I've read so far in 2024. And number 7 is favorite new author discovered in 2024. So I think my favorite author I've discovered so far is Bryce O'Connor. And he's not like a hugely big or popular author, but I discovered his Child of the Daystar series, and I really liked it. And granted, this series is like his first written book series. He does have a lot of series out, but I really enjoyed this one so far. I do have the first 3 books, I just haven't gone to the second one yet, but I really enjoyed the first one, and I thought it was pretty good for being his first series written. So I would say that he's my favorite so far, just because it's hard for me to find like a completely new author that I actually really enjoy and want to read their other series. A lot of times I pick up a book, I'm like, yeah, that's good, I enjoyed it, but like, do I want to try and read their other books? Nah, not so much. But this author, he's kind of caught my interest, so I can safely say he's probably one of my new favorites that I found this year so far. And number 8, new fictional crush. I don't have one. I don't know. I've not read a lot of romances or anything with like characters that I feel like are romance worthy, at least not so far. Yeah. And number 9 is my new favorite character of 2024. Again, I don't really have one. A lot of the books I've read this year have been kind of a miss for me, so I don't really have any favorite characters. Um, None that seem like so standout worthy that I'd be like, oh, they're my favorite. But also because I haven't really read like a lot of series either, so I haven't read like a lot of books where you really get attached to a character and want to call them your favorite. So I'm sorry, this is kind of a boring book tag so far because I'm like, nah, I don't really have one. Book number 10, a book that made you cry. I had a few, but I would say Sona and the Beasts for a kid's book made me cry. And I'm not even kidding, like it really made me tear up. And I had people being like, oh my god, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm just listening to my audiobook. It's just really sad. Dorky, I know. And number 11, a book that made you happy in 2024. And I would say, I'd have to say it's a wizard's survival guide to baking, and Dreadful. I really enjoyed those books. They were really funny. They really made me laugh. Dreadful is a adult book about a dark wizard who loses his memories and kind of has to regain his life and figure out who he wants to be by the end of the book. And it's just kind of a funny, charming book. It's really mostly about character development rather than like an overarching story. So you might find that boring, but I thought it was really funny. And A Wizard's Defensive Guide to Baking is a YA book about this girl who has like what would be deemed a pretty useless magical ability. That's the ability to work with bread and pastry doughs and make it magical. And she does like all these fantastical things like bringing gingerbread men to life, or she has like a magic starter sourdough that's kind of like a familiar, and it's just like this goopy little bucket that's kind of cannibalistic. And it's just really funny. I had fun with it. It was like one of those like nice, light, cozy reads. So those two books have made me happy so far. Number 12, the most beautiful book you bought or received in 2024. I mean, I don't have a lot. I haven't really jumped on like the pretty book craze until kind of recently. Like I kind of like the sprayed edges and stuff, but like not so much that I'm going out of my way for them. But I would have to say that I don't know. Maybe Jade. I don't know. Like I said, I don't really have like nice copies of anything. I have like 2 fancy ones. But I probably have to say of Jade and Dragons from the Illumicrate book. Or not the Illumicrate book, but the Illumicrate box. It has very nice sprayed edges. I like the cover, but I also like the Owlcrate edition because it has like a completely new and really nice cover, but then the edges are just kind of blue. So I don't know, it's one of those two. They're both really nice looking, and they're probably the fanciest I have. 13. What books do you really need to read by the end of this year? I don't really know. I don't really try to pressure myself into reading specific books because my mood really just depends on what I want to read, and it changes constantly. And like I have a TBR pile of ones that I want to read, but a lot of times I'll just kind of rummage through the pile or ignore my pile and go to the shelf instead and pull something off, or I'll find something new at the store and then want to read that instead. So I don't know, but I I think there's one that I really want to read, and that's In the Hands of Ghosts, I think is what it was called. I can't remember off the top of my head. I should have brought it out with me, but yeah, I think that was one. I really want to read Wolf Song, and that's by TK Kloon, right? TK, or is it TR or TJ? No, I think it was TK. You'll see in a minute when I edit it. That was also one I've really been wanting to read. I've really been wanting to read it recently, but then I kind of keep picking it up and being like, no, maybe later, and then picking up something else instead. But I don't know. I think that's the one I really want to try and get to at least soon. So that's kind of all the questions. That's my mid-year crisis so far. Not too much of a crisis, mind you. What are your crises for this year? What did you like, didn't enjoy? What have you read? It's always the train, man. Always. So anyway, let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know what you've liked and haven't liked throughout the year. So we'll wrap this up since the train's being so loud. See you guys later. Bye.